we need most what we do not need at all. Grant a man 100 years of health, good food, sexual release, and what passes for important work. I ask my students about this. Would they take this deal? Grant him all that on condition that he remain in a well-decorated basement with a ceiling fixed over his head and painted stars in the room at night. Grant him that. And then ask, how long will it take before you go mad? He needs more than to see. He needs to behold. He needs the heavens. So I'd like to illustrate this point by bringing to your attention a couple of works of art that are both human and sacred. My family and I visited New Bedford, a town in southeastern New England. It was once a jewel, cobblestone streets, colonial houses, built by the men who went down to the sea in ships to hunt the great whales and bring back whale ivory and oil and spermaceti. Those ventures engaged maritime peoples from all over the world, including the Portuguese from Portugal and the Azores and the Cape Verde Islands, many of whose descendants still live in New Bedford and in the area around. The museum in New Bedford is filled with their works of art. We should call it folk art. These whalers were not exceptionally learned men. One object impressed me most. This is now the art of these Portuguese whalers. It's a sculptured altarpiece. It's from Cape Verde. It's gleaming white. It's altarpiece. The altar is festooned with flowers everywhere. The petals are rendered with the most exact care. A large monstrance is carved upon the altar. It has rays radiating from the center. In the center there stand the letters IHS. We would call them IHS, Greek capitals for the first three letters of the name of Jesus. Above the flowers stands the figure of the Lamb from the book of Revelation, holding his banner with a cruciform insignia. An unfurled semicircle of diamonds provides a canopy for the altar. Each diamond carries a letter, and the whole thing reads, Hoc est enim corpus meum, for this is my body, the words of Christ at the Last Supper. To the left of the altar, at a dramatic angle, stands the cross. To the right, at the corresponding angle, the anchor of hope, dear to the hearts of sailors. Now this is all that a modern tourist would understand of it. Of course, a maritime people are going to value the utility of an anchor. But the sculptor knows better. The sculptor is thinking of the promise made by God to Abraham and confirmed with an oath. It's a promise extended to all of Abraham's spiritual sons and daughters, quote, which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, says the writer to the Hebrews, both sure and steadfast, which entereth into that within the veil, where the forerunner of is for us entered, even Jesus, made a high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So the anchor and the cross belong together at the altar where Christ, under the species of bread and wine, is priest and God and sacrifice. The whole work of all art nestles in a cradle of branches and leaves. Beneath the altar in a long scroll are sculpted words in Portuguese in low relief, telling us that the sculpture was made by Father John Silva in honor of Christ and his church. In a magnificent work of art. The most striking feature of this work of art is this. The whole thing cannot weigh more than an ounce or two. This Father Silva carved it from the spongy pith of a fig tree with a razor that could make shavings as thin as breath. He must have spent hundreds of hours on that work of love, simply for the joy of it. And as the Benedictine monks did, to share with other human beings the fruits of his contemplation. You could crush it in an instant in the palm of your hand. But the human spirit that conceived and executed that work, not the spirit of bondage, but the spirit of freedom, whereby we cry, Abba, Father, that spirit we cannot quite crush, though we do our best to thwart it. Our schools thwart it. When they reduce education to the acquisition of marketable skills, they try their best to thwart that. When they forget that the soul is more important than the wallet, or the body, or the half of the body that's below the belt, when they ignore the words of Jesus, who warned us to seek first the kingdom of heaven, we would gain the other things of earth into the bargain, they do their best to try to thwart it. Secular schools thwart it when they reject beauty and view all works of the human spirit as compulsions of politics or economics.